You're not antisocial. You're just done performing. While everyone else is chasing Friday night like it's the only proof they're alive, you've discovered something they haven't, that the deepest kind of aliveness happens in silence. Picture this. It's Friday evening. Your phone lights up. Group chat, party invite. You have to come out. Everyone's moving like the weekend is a race they can't afford to lose. But you feel nothing. Not FOMO, not guilt, just quiet relief that you don't have to go anywhere. You order takeout. You sink into your couch. You exhale for the first time all week. And beneath that exhale is a question you've learned to ignore. Why does everyone else need so much noise to feel okay? Here's what's really happening. Loving to stay in isn't about being boring or broken or scared of life. It's about having a nervous system that processes the world differently and a value system that refuses to mistake busyness for meaning. You're not avoiding life. You're protecting the part of you that actually feels it. Let me break it down. Number 1. You experience social interaction like a full-contact sport. Most people recharge through connection. You recharge after it. It's not that you hate people, it's that being around them costs you something real. Every conversation is a small loan of energy you have to pay back later in solitude. Think of it like this. Extroverts have solar panels. You have a battery. They gather energy from the crowd. You spend it there, and you need time alone to rebuild. You're not withdrawn. You're just managing a limited resource most people don't even know they're spending. But here's where it gets interesting. Number 2. Your brain treats overstimulation like a threat. Bars, parties, crowds. They're not just annoying to you. They're loud in a way that goes beyond sound. Bright lights, overlapping voices, strangers' energy. It all registers as sensory noise your brain has to filter in real time. And when your nervous system is already running at 70% capacity just from existing in the world, that noise becomes overwhelm. It's like trying to have a conversation while 10 radios play different stations in the background. So staying in isn't laziness, it's regulation. You're not hiding from the world. You're turning the volume down so you can actually hear yourself think. And most people never get quiet enough to realize how much they're missing, which leads to the part people always misunderstand. Number 3. You don't need external validation to feel like your life is happening. Our culture is obsessed with proof, photos, plans. What did you do this weekend? As if your weekend only counts if you can summarize it in a story someone else finds impressive. But you've figured out something most people spend their whole lives avoiding. That meaning doesn't require witnesses. You can read a book that changes the way you see the world. You can sit with your thoughts and untangle something you've been carrying for months. You can do absolutely nothing and still feel full. Think of it like this. Everyone else is at a buffet, piling their plates high to prove they're eating well. You're having a quiet meal you actually taste. You're not missing out. You're opting out of a game that never made sense to you. And that quiet rebellion, it protects something sacred. But here's the shadow side no one talks about. Number 4. You've learned to find safety in control, and staying in gives you all of it. When you're home, you control the lighting, the noise, the people, the timing. No surprises, no forced small talk, no pretending you're someone easier to digest. But here's the thing, your brain won't tell you. Safety and growth don't always coexist. Sometimes staying in becomes less about rest and more about avoidance. Less, I need to recharge, and more, I need to not feel anything unpredictable. It's like living in a house with all the curtains drawn. Peaceful, yes, but eventually, you forget there's a sky. You're not broken for craving that control. You've probably needed it to survive. But the version of you that's healing? She knows the difference between protecting her peace and hiding from her life. And that's where the paradox lives. Number 5. You've turned inward so deeply, you've built an entire world most people will never see. While everyone else was out collecting experiences like trophies, you were doing something quieter, and in some ways, braver. You were learning how to be alone without feeling lonely. You were building a relationship with yourself that doesn't need constant distraction to survive. You read, you think, you create, you feel. And because of that, you've developed an inner life so rich, so textured, that most people's outer lives feel thin by comparison. It's like you're living in a library while everyone else is at a theme park. Different kinds of aliveness, different kinds of depth. You're not missing out on life, you're living a version of it most people are too afraid to face. But here's the twist most people miss. You're the person who craves deep connection but can't stand shallow interaction. You want to be understood, but only by people willing to sit in the quiet long enough to actually see you. You're tender, but you've learned to be tough about your boundaries. You're open, but only when it's safe. And that combination, sensitive but selective, soft but strong, makes you magnetic to the right people and invisible to everyone else. You're not hard to love, you're just impossible to love halfway. And the people who get that? They don't ask you to come out, they ask if they can come over. But let's be honest for a second. Sometimes this preference becomes a pattern. Sometimes, I need to recharge becomes, I need to avoid anything that might make me uncomfortable. Sometimes staying in is rest. Sometimes it's fear dressed up as self-care. And the difference matters. If staying home makes you feel full, like you're honoring your energy, your creativity, your need for quiet, then you're good. Keep going. But if it's making you feel smaller, like the world is something you're hiding from instead of choosing not to engage with, then it might be worth asking, what am I actually protecting myself from? You don't owe anyone your presence, but you do owe yourself the truth about whether you're resting or retreating. And that truth? It's the difference between solitude and isolation. Here's what I want you to know. The world will always try to convince you that a life well lived is loud, that if you're not seen, you're not real, that if you're not busy, you're wasting time. But you've discovered a different kind of wealth, the kind that lives in Saturday mornings with no agenda, in books that break you open, in the quiet hum of your own company. You're not missing the party, you're attending a different one most people are too distracted to even notice. And the people who matter, they'll meet you there, in the margins, in the stillness, in the parts of life that don't need to be photographed to be real. You're not broken, you're just done pretending that noise equals meaning. So here's my question for you. Team Friday night in with a book or team Friday night out with friends? Drop a comment. I want to know where you land. And if this one hit, you need to watch the next video. The psychology of people who overthink every conversation after it happens. Because if you love staying in, there's a good chance you're also replaying every interaction on a loop. Let's talk about why. See you there.